Hello, everyone, and welcome to the garden. We have so many pollinators around us today. My favorite is the hummingbird. Fun fact, the hummingbird is the only bird that can fly forwards, left, right, up, down, and even backwards. Hummingbirds can also be a more productive pollinator than bees when it comes to plants that don't self-pollinate themselves, which is why they need our help to protect them. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to create hummingbird nectar, how to protect your nectar and keep from poisoning it. And I'm going to be talking to you about why hummingbirds are an important part of our ecosystem and why we need to protect them. Starting off, we're going to start by making their nectar, but we need to talk about the materials that we need. Today, we're going to be using the recipe from National Zoo. This recipe is going to call for 4 cups of water and 1 cup of sugar. So you'll need your water and you'll need sugar and you need your hummingbird feeder, or you can use a jar to put your nectar in while you make it. You can buy any hummingbird feeder at a Walmart or any local outdoor store. While buying your feeder, you want to keep in mind about the colors that your feeder has on it. Normally, feeders have bright reds or oranges because of hummingbirds' color blindness. Hummingbirds can only see bright reds, oranges, pinks, or any ultraviolets. Okay. Let's get onto it and start by making our nectar. So to make this nectar, you need to pour water, about 4 cups, usually you pour it into your hummingbird feeder, but my hummingbird feeder is already in use, so I was not able to bring it today, so I'm using a jar. And then you want to take sugar, and then you do 1 cup to every 4 cups, but I'm doing a smaller portion, so it's not exactly correct. Then you slowly pour in some sugar into your water, and then what else you have to do is you just have to wait for it to dissolve into the water. That's a simple, easy, quick way to make hummingbird nectar. If you've made too much nectar and you don't have enough room for it in your hummingbird feeder, or you don't have another feeder, you can store this in a refrigerator, and it'll be completely safe to use in the future. Now, the next step is where to place your hummingbird feeder. Placement of the feeder can be crucial to attracting hummingbirds and how much usage you'll get out of it. Typically, you want to place your feeder in a shaded area away from activities and any windows. You usually put your feeder by any trees because that's where hummingbirds like to locate at, and that's usually just where you get the most usage out of it. You want to stay away from having just one big feeder because hummingbirds, they seem really docile, but they've become very territorial over their food. So usually you'll see yards with multiple little hummingbird feeders that just use one hummingbird at a time instead of just one big one, because the hummingbird that gets there first will chase away any other hummingbird that gets there to eat. Now, a common mistake when making feeders is adding red dye. Hummingbird food in commercials are red, and you're probably wondering why I didn't add any red dye into this nectar. Commercials that have hummingbird feeder portrayed as red use red dye number 40, which is very dangerous and should not be put in any nectar. While it's approved by the FDA in America, it is banned in Austria, Belgium, Denmark, France, Sweden, and Switzerland. Usage of this red dye 40 or any red dye in your nectar has been proven to have a higher mortality rate in your hummingbirds and cause tumors in the liver and the bill. Journey North has done an experiment with hummingbirds, and this was the proven factors. A simple solution to this is getting red stained glass to your hummingbird. Well, like in a red stained glass hummingbird feeder, because you don't have to pollute your nectar, and it'll just appear as red. So multiple hummingbird feeders are already come with their glass stained red, so it attracts more hummingbirds. Now, another important step in your nectar and keeping it clean and safe for these hummingbirds is you have to clean it quite often. You want to clean it at least once a week, and you have to be careful while you're cleaning this. How you clean your hummingbird feeder is you can use hot tap water or a weak vinegar solution. You want to avoid from using dish soap, since when you clean it out, it can leave harmful bacteria and residue. It's also very important to keep your hummingbird feeder clean, and you make sure that you check up on it, because harmful bacteria can produce in your feeder if it's not having the proper attention that it needs. Now, hummingbirds they play a big part in our environment and our ecosystem without us even realizing. They might be small birds, but they're big pollinators. They're one of our biggest pollinators. And not only do we depend on hummingbirds, but animals around us depend on hummingbirds. Hummingbirds, as we know, hummingbirds pollinate flowers, and pollinating these flowers can help create vegetables and fruits and help produce the growth of plants. Other animals depend on hummingbirds because they eat these plants and they eat these fruits and vegetables, and that's their source of food. If we take hummingbirds out of the picture, these animals are left with less food and less food sources to feed themselves and their families. Now, if we do that, then that population of animals become very slim, and their predators get less food because of the animal populations becoming slimmer. So overall, it affects the whole entire food chain, and the animal population as a whole will start decreasing. Hummingbirds, we also protect hummingbirds. Well, we also depend on hummingbirds as well, because we depend on hummingbirds to produce vegetables and fruits for us. With a world without hummingbirds is very hard. It would be very hard to sustain about 8 billion people. Without hummingbirds, our world would quickly start to look like how it does in the end of the Bee Movie when there's no pollinators. Like I said before, in supermarkets and any place you can buy any food, you will see less vegetables and less fruits and even less organic food. So that means that our food will have to start being more chemically processed, which will create a more negative health effects from negative health side effects to us, which decreasing the health of the human population as well. Now circling back, I'm gonna do a quick recap on everything that we've talked about today. So I've shown you how to create nectar and the harmful things that you can do without even realizing, so you need to pay attention to. And I also talked about how our world would be different and affected without these hummingbirds. So I hope I gave you some food for thought, and you will start by feeding these hummingbirds and start protecting them like I do. Thank you.